Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. This is another in the series regarding the sinister minister. We're going to take a look at the life of Moses. A sinister minister will most likely lack humility. He or she will be full of pride and is unteachable, especially if you're someone who's basically has no name, so to speak, no title. If you try to provide counsel to that minister, he or she may not have it. If a person demonstrates humility, it will be false humility. Moses, in Numbers 12:3, it states, "Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth." Sounds good. But when you imagine what Moses was in charge of, how large his ministry was, that is something else. Because in Exodus 12:37, it tells us that when they numbered the people, there were about 600,000 men, not including women and children, 600,000 men. So to give a rough estimate, Moses was in charge of about 2 million people, plus or minus. That's like leading a church with 2 million people. There's some sinister ministers who they have a congregation of 20 people, and no one from in the congregation can go up to them and correct the minister. For example, if the minister makes an error during a sermon, or if they have some advice regarding something that can make the church run more efficiently. No one. A sinister minister is usually full of pride, and he or she is unteachable. So in Numbers 12:3, we're told that Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone on the face of the earth. When we go back to Exodus 7, it states in verse 1, "And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet." Now it's God in lowercase g, but "See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet." Who else has the Lord ever called to be like a god? He's called people to be prophets, but for Moses to be like a god and his brother to be his prophet, wow. Yet in Numbers 12:3, it says that Moses was still humble. So we look at everything I've mentioned so far, especially with a congregation of about 2 million people. One of the things about a sinister minister, he or she will claim that no one can correct him or her unless a person is on the same level. So if that person is a prophet, he or she won't accept correction unless it's from a prophet. Or if he or she is an apostle, he or she won't accept correction unless it's from an apostle. Evangelists likewise. But in some cases, they puff up their title even more. Or a person may have the same title, but if that person's church has a larger congregation than the person's providing correction, the person may not accept it. Keep on trying to build up hierarchies so that they are above correction. But sadly, with a sinister minister, they won't accept correction from other people, but it also eventually gets to the point where they won't even accept correction from the Lord. And when that happens, it'll get to the point where the Lord stops trying to correct them. So the Lord made Moses like a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron his brother a prophet. But yet, we see something very important in Exodus 18. Moses was spending his days judging the people of Israel. Say about 2 million. He was judging them. And again, he still had to be humble. His father-in-law, Jethro, a Midianite priest, showed up and saw what Moses was doing. And he made an observation. Now here's what happened. Again, Moses, a very humble man. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee. For this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Another thing with a sinister minister, he or she, because that person wants to be at the top of the food chain, so to speak, doesn't want any help. Wants to be at the top. And a lot of things that should be and could be delegated, that person rules with it with an iron fist. It continues. Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that they mayest bring the causes unto God. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. So Jethro was telling his son-in-law to teach the people. To teach the people. Not retain information for himself, but to teach the people. Moreover, thou shalt... That's another thing. There are times when some people say that because they received direct revelations from the Lord, that they're not going to accept anything from anyone else. Have to be careful with that. Because the Lord can choose whom he chooses. But the Lord isn't going to select a messenger who I'll say is a dirty vessel. So also be careful who you take advice from. So, moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God. Such as fear God. A sinister minister will get to the point where he or she no longer fears God. The person may pretend as if he or she does, but for example, when a person starts using the Lord's name in vain, lying on the Lord, like a person may tell you about the Lord saying that 10 people have $1,000 that they need to give, you get the picture. So, such as fear of God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. Delegating. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. Thou shalt be able to endure. And all this people shall also go their place in peace. And here is the key part. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. So Jethro provided sound advice to Moses, and Moses took it. A sinister minister will most likely refuse to take sound advice. Do not be fooled by anyone's false humility. Given time, you will see a person's true colors.